Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and today we are talking about the Michigan Wolverines team preview with our main host for these team previews on Monday mornings. It's Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, Mr. Landers?
Hey, what's going on, Jeremiah? Happy to be talking football with you once again on this marvelous Monday morning. Hey, I'm ready to talk some Michigan Wolverines, man. They got a pretty good team, hopefully, this year, and I'm ready to talk all about them.
Absolutely. And I hope that everybody out there had an amazing 4th of July. They got their Independence Day on. They got to do some great things. And if you have to be up at 8 a.m. on a Monday after the 4th of July weekend, you might as well be with us talking about football. So without further ado, Mr. Landers, tell us, what do we have to look forward to the Michigan Wolverines season?
Yeah, so, if you're Michigan coming into 2021, you're just hoping that you can improve a lot on last year. Because last year was not the best year. If you're a Wolverines fan, they went 2-4 on the year. You definitely do not want that with Jim Harbaugh, who's your big head coach you paid a lot of money for, and who you're hoping can get this team to hopefully a championship. So for a team that underperformed a lot last year, you're hoping that was just a weird year with everything going around, and that you can bounce back, get a full season under your belt, and everything's back to normal. So hopefully, they can do that. But looking at their schedule, they got a few challenges. They started off pretty solid. They faced Western Michigan. That should be an easy win. Then they go up against Washington. That's going to be a tough one. We talked about them on the show a little bit before. I see Wisconsin. They could give some trouble as well. Northwestern. And then a big one I see two of them. I see Penn State. And then their last game before the potential Big Ten championship game, I see Ohio State. So they've got a few tough challenges. It's not going to be the easiest schedule in the world. But I think as long as this team wins the games that it should, and that's predicted to win, I think this could be a very good team. They're definitely not going to have a repeat of last year, under 500. I think this team's going to be above 500 this year. I still don't know if they're going to crack that, get into that college football playoff. I just don't see it yet because their strength of schedule isn't the best. And, that's hard to base anything off of that. But, as long as you can win most of the games, you still have a good shot. So we'll see how consistent they can play and if they can rise up in the ranks and see how far they can be at the end of the season. But just talking about their team, they had some good moments last year, but they just weren't consistent all around. Their offense was there, but it's like I said, it was just hit and miss. Sometimes it was there, sometimes they just didn't do nothing. So they've definitely just got to work on consistency this year. You got to have more of a consistent offense, whether it be on the running game, the passing game, you name it. This team needs to just be more consistent all in all. The offensive line was great, though. The offensive line didn't allow that many sacks, didn't allow that many tackles in the backfield. So the O-line, while they did lose a few pieces because of the NFL draft, but they still have some good guys coming back, some big men who are going to help out. So it's going to be able to, help out, and we'll see what they can do. Yeah. But the quarterback position, that's the main position. That's the one that makes the engine run. So they got to figure something out because they have some guys who are talented, but you just don't know who's going to be starting, who's going to be getting that keys to the Ferrari, and who's going to be helping out this Wolverines football team this year. So you have a few guys. Now you have some guys that leave. You had Joe Milton who left. He went over to Tennessee. You had Dylan McCaffrey who went to Northern Colorado. So you have Caden McNamara who's looking right now as your main guy, your number one guy who's potentially going to be starting the season. He threw for 61% of his passes for only 425 yards and 5 touchdowns. So not the most amazing numbers, but there is some potential there. So we'll have to see if he can do that or if he's going to have some pressure from his competition. He has Alan Bowman, who's coming over from Texas Tech, who is a good quarterback, and we'll see what he can do. As long as he's healthy, I think this is a good kind of a QB competition potentially because he had a good run at Texas Tech. He's a guy who hit 67% of his passes over 3 years, threw for well over 5,000 yards. So he can definitely get it done. So do you want to go with the guy who showed some glimpses, or do you want to go with the guy who has some experience and who's going to start your season? We'll have to see. So that's going to be very interesting to see who starts out week one, and we'll have to see who can get it done from there. As for the wideouts, the wide receivers, they're good. They're experienced. You got 3 of the top 4 wideouts coming back. You only lost Giles Jackson due to the transfer portal, but you have a good bit of your offense on the wide receiving core coming back, which is great. You have Ronnie Bell. You have Cornelius Johnson, who got around 15 yards per catch last year. So you got some big playmakers who are coming back and who are going to help out on your offensive side of the ball. So let's talk about defense, though, because the offense, it's pretty much set in stone. Besides who's going to be your quarterback, it looks pretty solid. So for the defense, we'll have to see if they can get it going. Because, man, you just got to be able to get it done. You lost a few guys. You lost Kwity Paye, who was their big guy. He went to the NFL draft, unfortunately. So you lost him. You got to get his replacement because, man, the Wolverines just were not able to get much done. They didn't get that many sacks. They got, I think, less than 10 last year. And I know they only played 6 games, but still, though, when you have a very talented school with as many higher recruits, you should definitely be getting more, I think. So we'll see who can step up because the defense – it was not very good. Like I said, they were in the bottom of the just NCAA, really, especially the Big Ten. And so how many yards they gave up around 400 plus yards a game. So it was just not a pretty sight if you're a defensive-minded coach, defensive-minded fan. It was not good to be watching this Michigan team. So hopefully they can get it figured out. They can get some good guys. And, whatever guys had a rough year last year, hopefully they can shake off the cobwebs and get it done this year because there is some potential there. Of course, they do have a lot of highly touted guys. You have a good linebacking core. It's going to be how you can do. You got John Ross. We're going to see what he can do at the linebacking position. Michael Barrett, he's very athletic. We'll see what he can rock with, how many tackles he can rack up this year. He got 44 last year, so we'll see if he can get that 50-plus plateau. I'm sure he will. So, you have some guys who are just talented, but they just didn't get it done last year. And, that brings me to the secondary, the cornerbacks and the safeties. Jeremiah, they only had 2 interceptions last year in 6 games.
Wow.
That is unacceptable for any program. It doesn't matter if you're, a Division III team or if you're a Division I, powerhouse that's supposed to be competing like Michigan. You can't get just 2 interceptions last year. You got to get definitely more. So we'll see. We'll see. Man, I think that that definitely is going to be a struggle, and they gotta. I don't know what they can do to figure it out. Maybe you get some more schemes. Maybe just mix up the personnel. But I think they definitely got to figure out the defense side because the offensive side is not. It's not perfect. It's not 10 out of 10, but it's there. You can work with that. They have, like I said, they just need to be more consistent, and they're fine. The defense is a completely different side of the ball, and it's just it's a mess. They got to figure something out. And when you lost one of your best guys to the draft, that doesn't help you at all. So as long as Michigan can come into this year, and like I said, they don't have the hardest schedule in the world. Of course, they're going to have some of their tough opponents, like I mentioned previously. But if you can win the games you're supposed to win, and if you can convert on third down, if you can get the big stops, get some more turnovers, then this team is solid, I think. I don't think they're going to be competing for a national championship. They might sneak in to the Big Ten championship game if all things go accordingly. But I think they're going to have a good season all in all. And it would surprise me just a little bit if they got to that Big Ten championship just based off of how they did last year and how basically gutted their just defense got with the draft and everything, and how they just didn't perform last year. I'm not 100% sold on this Wolverines team. Yeah. But, hey, if they could get into the Big Ten championship game, and it would surprise me.
Man, that would be incredible. Like you said, the defense has got to put some hard work in this season. They've got to show really what they can do, and they've really got to push it. But, yeah, to get into a big bowl game and to really show out this year, it would be huge for not only for the Wolverines but for the fans. Because something I always mention in these videos as we get back and we're getting closer to another season, these fans want to be back in person. They want to cheer their teams on. They want to be that extra oomph that, the games need when you're actually on the field. And, sometimes that is the thing that puts a team over the top and gets their momentum going so that they can pull out those upsets and they can, do great things and they can do unexpected things because you have your fan base there cheering you on, pushing you, giving you that energy and that momentum you need, and even probably kind of cluing you into how the game is going, So for the entire Michigan Wolverines fan base, definitely excited for all of you to come back and see these games in person. Mr. Landers, what are your final thoughts on the Michigan Wolverines?
Yeah, so overall, just to sum things up, I think Michigan, they're going to have a good season. They're going to finish over 500. Don't got to worry about that. I see them getting 7, 8, maybe 9 wins if all things go well. I don't think they're going to get double digits quite yet, just because I don't trust that defense. I don't right yet. They could come out and be the top rank in the NCAA. You never know. You never know with each passing season how things are going to rock with. But I think that this Michigan team's going to be fine. They're going to get their wins. But can they just win in the big games? Because that's always kind of been their downfall. Is once the spotlight gets a little brighter, it seems like Michigan kind of falls off. So can they get the big wins? Can they step up and can they prove that, look, this is a different season. This is a different team, a different program. We're going to come in here. We're going to, the last few seasons haven't been dominating like people thought they would be. Right. So can we kind of, fix the script and do it all over again and see how they're going to do? But Michigan's got a lot of potential. So we'll see how they can do this year in 2021.
Yeah. Well, for everybody watching, tell us, what is Michigan going to do this year? What are their big challenges and what are you looking forward to? And if you're watching us on YouTube or Twitch or on Facebook, thank you so much. All the sharing you guys have been doing, telling your friends and family, putting our links into Facebook groups, all of those things have helped us so much in the last few months to grow. And if you're listening to our podcast, thank you so much. But if you haven't jumped over and listened to our podcast yet, please check it out. Anywhere that you listen to podcasts, just look up 100 Yards of Football. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google, we're on Stitcher, we're anywhere that you listen to podcasts. So just go there and listen to our podcast, 100 Yards of Football. We put out a new podcast every day so we can be with you on your morning drive, your evening drive, or when you're just hanging out at your office at work and you need a little bit extra thing to get you through the day, we're going to get you there. So for the entire team here, I am Jeremiah Long, the producer, and you've been listening to our host, Logan Landers, give a breakdown of the Michigan Wolverines 2021 college football team, and we'll be right back with another live video.